Top Med Talk.
Welcome back to Top Med Talk here at Anesthesiology 2023, the annual meeting of the American Society of Anesthesiologists. I'm Desiree, Chappell, your host. I'm joined by my co-host, Professor Guy Ludbrook. Guy, thank you so much for co-hosting with me today.
Oh, it's been terrific. I come away much better informed than I started the day.
So whenever I asked Guy if hey, you want to hang with me on Top Med Talk? There was no pushback. He said, sure, let's do it. Now, what do I do? So you've done a fabulous job of jumping right in without much instruction for sure. So thank you very much.
It's been great.
We have had some great conversations today, though, haven't we?
Oh, it's been fascinating. I mean, it's quite astonishing kind of what we're hearing, what's happening, all the new things that are going on. You know, we're at a really exciting phase of the specialty. It's just growing. It's heading in directions where we might never have imagined. Can't wait. Yeah,
the positivity is palpable. I love it. It's great. So for those of you who may not have heard of Top Med Talk before, Top Med Talk is a leading perioperative medicine podcast. It's a free open access podcast. We're global. We're listened to in over 100 countries across the world. We have over 2,000 podcasts, which, when we talk about that, my other partners, we always say it's been a lot of work, but it's been a passion project and a lot of fun. And we just this summer surpassed 2 million downloads.
Oh.
So a lot going on with Top Med Talk. We have our website, topmedtalk.com, where you can go back into the archives of the conversations that we've had here at the ASA, which we've been at the last 6 years. So lots of content from these fabulous meetings, as well as from conferences around the world, and really cool chats with key opinion leaders in anesthesia and in our specialty. So lots of good content there. We did want to give a shout out to and a huge thanks to the American Society of Anesthesiologists. They have given us this beautiful booth and lined up some phenomenal interviews and leaders within the ASA to have chats with. So thank you so much. And also our sponsors. We couldn't do what we do. We couldn't make this open to the world, free medical education, without the generosity of Edwards Life Sciences, GE Healthcare, Medtronic, to name a few. So thank you so much to our sponsors. Without further ado, though, we have Eli McMillan, and we have Majesty Greer from Howard University, the College of Medicine. Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you. Why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself? So you all are in the College of Medicine at Howard. So Eli, why don't I start with you and tell us a little bit more about your experience there and your background?
Okay, so I'll start off with my background. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but then I primarily grew up in New York. So I basically claim New York as my home. But then my journey into medicine, I have a little non-traditional route. I'm already a physical therapist. So I went to undergrad at Tuskegee University, another HBCU. And then I did my doctorate of physical therapy at NYU. And then I worked for about a year and a half, and then just really opened my eyes to the different fields within healthcare. And I just really fell in love with medicine and in particular anesthesia. And then that's when I applied to medical school. But now I'm here at Howard. I'm loving it.
Yeah. And you said you said some alphabet, there's some alphabet soup in there.
Oh, HBCU. So historically Black college university. And then when you get to the medical school, it's called HBMC, historically Black medical colleges.
Oh, very good. Okay. And I think we're going to dive into that a little bit more in just a second. Majesty, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yes. Okay. So I'm originally from Hawaii. Actually a town called Kaneohe in Oahu. And I'm actually a first generation high school graduate and college graduate. Wow. So I kind of went into medicine very blind, but it's something that I knew I wanted to do since I was a child. So I really had to go out and try to get the information that I needed to get to where I am now. So I went to Northern Arizona University for undergrad, and I actually graduated early because I did a lot of college when I was in high school. I took a year off, and then during that year off, I applied to medical school and I went over to Howard. And I actually got interested in anesthesia because I worked as a tech in pre-op and PACU.
Oh, okay.
And an anesthesiologist heard I was a pre-med student, asked me if I wanted to shadow them. And I hadn't really heard of anesthesia, and I didn't really know what I was going to get myself into, but I needed shadowing hours to apply to medical school, right? So I wasn't going to say no. I'm so glad that I did, because I absolutely immediately fell in love with the specialty. I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't really know what kind of doctor I wanted to be. And ever since then, anesthesia has really held my interest. And I'm actually one of the co-presidents of our Howard University's Anesthesia Interest Society. So
let's talk a little bit about the terminology historically Black university or college of medicine, because that, I think, for many people maybe around the world don't understand what that means. So Eli, do you want to tell us a little bit more about?
So it's on par with every other university around the country. It's just universities or institutions that were created to create a space that had equal opportunity for individuals of color and minorities. When we talk about HBCUs or historically black medical colleges or historically black colleges, it doesn't exclusively mean that the whole student population is just black students.
Yeah.
There's definitely a huge diversity there as well, but it's an amazing creation that was made to create equal opportunities for individuals to gain access into the educational field as well to help further themselves.
Yeah. And Majesty, what attracted you to Howard? Was that one of the things that brought you to the university there, or?
Yes. Going into medicine, not having anybody in my family who's even like gotten a bachelor's degree, I definitely wanted to go someplace that I felt like I would be included in people that looked like me or came from similar backgrounds as me. And so when I had an interview over at Howard, I really felt like the faculty and the staff had come from similar backgrounds, like I said, just like similar experiences as me, and then talking to the medical students. And I do feel like with me going there, I really have made some like lifelong friends because of that. And I really do feel like I found my community, and that was very important because I needed that support going into medical school, especially because I'm doing medical school in the mainland, far away from my family, so I have to find another support system.
And then as a woman, I can attest to this. It feels good. You feel supported whenever the people who are in leadership represent you and who you are and where you come from. To me, it's hard sometimes to really engage and interact with people who may not understand where I'm coming from. Guy, what are your, I know that you come from Australia. It's maybe
we're only a fraction of the size of the United States. So we kind of wrestle with this issue too, and how to support people that we really want to move forward. And we have an Indigenous population, which really is going to benefit from more people in medicine. So we don't have exclusive institutions, but we have pieces of institutions to try and really encourage that. And so we try and get to the same place, but we just don't have the sort of size that you do to be able to achieve that. But it's incredibly important. Look, I'm impressed by the richness of both of your backgrounds. I mean, you've clearly ended up in this place with an enormous amount of experience. Do you think that's actually helped in your decision-making process to, rather than sort of, in my world, to do high school, go straight into medicine, just kind of on this track, but you've obviously got a very rich background, both of you. Do you think that's kind of helped in your choices? And is that something that almost we would recommend? Or?
Yeah, I really do, because I had to find a lot of experiences and make sure that this was the path I was going to go on. Education is so expensive. The only way I was going to get education was through scholarships. And so I had to make sure what I chose to do was what I really wanted to do, because my family is unable to support me financially. So
how about you, Eli?
I would definitely say my prior experiences have really helped me out a lot within just medical school, but also within the process of me understanding where I want to go with my career, with going into anesthesia, because it's sort of two-sided with that, because I was also a student athlete when I was in Tuskegee, and I played basketball, so I really enjoy that team aspect of healthcare. And also I enjoyed that when I fell in love with that when I was in the OR for the first time. And with anesthesia, working with the surgeons, the circulating nurse, everything. I just loved the whole dynamic, and I felt like I was back at home. I was back on the basketball court. But then with regards to knowing that I wanted to do anesthesia, with my time working as a physical therapist, I worked for about a year and a half when I was at NYU. And I was able to learn about each different specialty and really see and talk to them and actually talk to attendings and residents, see what their life looked like, or what did the actual job entail. So it really gave me, I feel, an upper hand in a way, because I was really just be able to see it real time and see what each field did, and I could really I can lay hands on them and just really understand what that meant, and it really helped to guide my decision. So a lot of people are surprised, like I knew from when I came into school I want to do anesthesia, but it's because of my prior experience. I had so much exposure to the different fields that it kind of just made it clear for me. From day one, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I actually really agree with that. Being like working in pre-op and PACU as a tech, I really got to, it's very scary talking to doctors when you're a pre-med. So it was really great to get comfortable with doctors really quickly and have them be really excited that I wanted to go into the field and come and offer me advice. And even I would do patient transports throughout the hospital and seeing like internal medicine doctors like, oh, you're pre-med, like here's my information. And also learning how to work with patients is so important, and having those skills before I even started medical school. With me now, a third year doing my rotations, I built a really great foundation, and now I can continue to build on my skills. And I think it is so helpful to get into the clinical environment as soon as possible if you're interested in medicine. It can really confirm it for you or show you that, oh, maybe I need to do a different path.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, absolutely.
And the programs that you've embarked on are obviously going well. They're obviously, you can see in your faces that they're terrific.
Yeah.
Do you get opportunity to feed back to people that are considering a similar path? So is there any program for people who are aspiring to this, or perhaps, just a bit further upstream from where you are, to be able to talk to them or interact with them to try and encourage that sort of career and approach?
So I'm also the VP of our anesthesia interest group, but also the VP of our SNMA chapter for
SMA.
SNMA is the Student National Medical Association for minority students. So we actually just had our regional leadership institute, and that was last week, and that was to have exposure to pre-medical students and those that are aspiring to come into medicine, and provide them mentorship and provide them just tangible examples of, this is somebody that looks like you that's also in this role. And so just definitely plenty of opportunities. And then 2 weeks ago also, there's another program called Black Men in White Coats. They had another mentor-mentee matching program, and now just another opportunity just to try and just speak with somebody that just wants to get into medical school and just let them know about your experience and trying to give them advice so that they could get into that position. Because I think it's just very important just seeing somebody that looks like you, because it just helps it to become a little bit more tangible and a real opportunity for you to try and get there.
And aspirational, but yet attainable.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm also very passionate about giving back, because the only way I was ever going to learn how to do medicine was from people teaching me. So I haven't done any specific programs per se. I'm actually applying for, there's a medical ascension program in DC that works with, you do workshops with high school students who are interested in medicine. And so I'm applying for that, and I really hope I get that, because that's just everything I wanted to do. But I do more, I guess, it's kind of like a hearsay. So I have people who know somebody who's interested in medicine, and so they'll give them my contact information, and I will talk to them, tell them my story, try to give them any help I can or any advice that I have. I also did Upward Bound when I was in high school. I don't know if you've heard of that program. Yeah, so I actually am still in contact with them, and I also offer my services. I'm like, I can speak if anybody wants to know about medicine, and I've been able, to do that through Zoom. That's kind of how I've been giving back, and I can't wait to do more as I continue in my career.
That's fantastic.
And Majesty, she's very modest. She's one of the best mentors to me and also my peers as well. She has taught us so much throughout this whole process and just giving us opportunities as well. So she's very big in mentorship. Whether she knows it or not, she impacts a lot of lives.
Yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. And I'm sure that feedback is appreciated.
I'm always really happy to help. So
yeah, that's great.
I mean, you're describing what sounds like an extraordinary system to me. It sounds terrific. Is this commonplace in the United States? Is there enough of this? Do you have an idea of how widespread what's clearly a well-structured and very engaging program? Is that common? Is it unusual?
I think it really depends. So, something that really drew me to Howard was the camaraderie between the students. And, something that's so big is that immediately we started school, we were like, okay, there's going to be 125 in, 125 out. We're going to help each other. And we would feel comfortable enough to text in our group me when we would be having issues. Hey, I'm having trouble with this topic. And then somebody would actually reach out to them and be like, oh, you know what? I'm really good at that. Let me help you. I mean, in my first month of med school, that happened. I had a really hard time with genetic math, and somebody heard about that and they came like, okay, here, let's sit down and I'm going to teach you how to do this. And it was amazing, and that support was amazing. Now, I don't think that is everywhere. I wish it was everywhere. I feel like medicine is such a competitive specialty to be in, and I feel like you kind of really get in your head where okay, I have to be the best. But you can really learn a lot from interacting with people and helping people. Actually, I learned that I honestly remember things the best when I'm able to teach it back to people. And you get so much joy from helping other people achieve their goals as well, because we're all a team. Everybody, every single med student, in the entire world, we're all in the same place. We all have a passion to help people, to help people's healthcare. And there's no reason to feel like, oh, somebody else has to fail in order for me to do that.
Yeah.
We should be able to help each other and lift each other up so that way we can all achieve our goals and help our patient population just become healthier. So
Yeah, that's great. So we talk, I mean, this is fascinating. I love this conversation. It is so great. You've talked about the things that you feel like you've taken away that Howard and this particular type of program have been able to help with. What are some of the challenges that you still feel like you're facing as a minority within the specialty of medicine?
So within the specialty of medicine and even anesthesia, with regards to our program over at Howard, some limitations we just face is that we don't have our own home residency program for anesthesia. So sometimes it could be difficult for us to try and, get that exposure into anesthesia at times. And especially with anesthesia not being a core curriculum course, that could really push people not to get into anesthesia just from the aspect of not knowing about the field.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a challenge. And with that challenge, that also just makes it more difficult for us to gain that exposure. But then we have to work 10 times as hard
to
get those exposures. So reaching out to external entities, different hospitals, seeing who we can network with to see if we could just get opportunities to get exposure into the field. And even still with Howard, you still have opportunities to shadow every here and then, but even still it is limited as to when you hear your peers in other medical schools and they have their own home residency program. And it's just, they have more exposure and more opportunities within the field. So that's one of the fallbacks of being in the program.
Yeah. Majesty, any other thoughts on that?
No, I just agree. And honestly, your first experience to be able to do a rotation in anesthesia is your 4th year of medical school.
Oh,
It is a couple of months before you're applying for residency. Applications are submitted in September. My first chance to be able to rotate will be, I finished my 3rd year in July, so it would probably be August.
Yeah.
So I think that is a huge limitation. It's not part of the core curriculum, and then us just not having a home program. So we really have to rely on doing away rotations and networking and really having to get our name out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, it looks like the future is bright, though.
For sure.
And my faith in the future of anesthesia, just talking to you guys, I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah, and look, to the sort of topics we've spoken about today, about the future of anesthesia and the value that's perceived from it, especially outside the operating room. And maybe those things will encourage institutions like yours to be able to have more of an emphasis on these sort of programs because it is historically been a bit of a niche area.
Yeah.
But in fact, we're not niche anymore, are we? We're kind of out there doing all sorts of stuff. So let's hope that part of this evolution allows colleges to have the capacity to kind of provide more exposure in the future. So, everything that you're doing, anesthesia is doing and perioperative medicine is doing, hopefully kind of syncs to kind of build that capacity, just not for healthcare delivery, but healthcare training too.
Oh, for sure. Because it's an amazing specialty. I'm a little biased. I think it's probably the best, so why not try and create more opportunities just so we get as much people as we can into, especially if there's a physician shortage as well, I definitely think it's a lot of importance to try and get more people to come into the field and get exposure because it's amazing. Yeah.
Well, it's conversations like this and voices like yours that will push this.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to say really fast, the amazing thing about anesthesia is how our anesthesiologists are so excited and they really want to push the education for it. And, with Howard not having a home anesthesia program, we have a lot of doctors that actually reach out to us and to our AIG. We actually have a networking opportunity coming up next weekend. Anesthesiologists from all over the DMV, residents and attendings are going to come and talk with our students. And it was just like, this anesthesiologist is a Howard alumni and was like, let me help you do this. And it's just really amazing. So we have a lot of hope for the future. And there's a lot of support, even though we don't have a home institution. We are so appreciative for.
Yeah, absolutely. Majesty, Eli, thank you so much for taking time out of the meeting. Oh, I know. One more thing, one plug for both of you guys. You both said you presented today.
Yes.
Majesty, what was your poster on?
Yeah, so I was looking at how residency meet and greets going on a virtual platform, speaking to medical schools individually, specifically HBCUs, can help increase the diversity in the anesthesia residency applicant pool.
Oh, nice. Very good. And Eli, what about you?
And mine was very sciencey based, but
That's okay.
it was looking at the effect of exosomes and different proteins within the postpartum woman population, and seeing if that could be a neuroprotective factor to help mitigate the risk of strokes. And in particular, we looked at heat shock protein 20, and we saw that with some increases, it was able to be neuroprotective in those patients.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, this is
great. But also, you have the opportunity and are encouraged to undertake these sort of inquiry projects at your stage, which is again sort of speaks well to the program that you're part of, because both of those are terrific pieces of work that you've been allowed to lead. So I mean that the program you're on just sounds terrific.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm forever grateful to Howard. It's a great program.
I really am.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Thank you guys. And congratulations on your work and what you did today and presenting that. That's absolutely fantastic. And thanks so much for taking the time to sit with us here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
it means a lot.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you want to hear more conversations just like this, again, topmedtalk.com. This particular conversation will be on YouTube. If you liked what you heard, be sure to like that and share with your friends, because I think this one right here is going to be really important for the world to hear. So absolutely. Thanks again to our sponsors, and thank you for listening.
Top Med Talk. Thanks for downloading Top Med Talk. Don't forget to subscribe via your podcatcher. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And also, don't forget, Top Med Talk is the broadcasting arm of EBPOM, Evidence-Based Perioperative Medicine. We'd love you to find out more about that. If you check out ebpom.org, you can find low prices on some of the conferences we're organising around the world. Many of them are virtual and don't even involve you leaving your own home. Check out ebpom.org now.